Imagine swallowing a petri dish full of deadly bacteria, on purpose, just to prove that everyone around you was wrong. No safety net, no backup plan, just you, a glass of liquid, and absolute certainty. This is the story of the man who bet his own body on science and changed medicine forever. Perth, Australia, 1981. A young doctor named Barry Marshall is working at the Royal Perth Hospital. He is not famous, he is not powerful. He is just a curious man in a quiet ward, and he is starting to notice something the entire medical world has missed. At this time, stomach ulcers were one of the most common and painful conditions on Earth. Millions of people suffered. Doctors believed they were caused by stress, spicy food, and too much stomach acid. The treatment? Antacids, rest, lifestyle changes. Patients got temporary relief, but the ulcers always came back. Nobody questioned why. Marshall began working with a pathologist named Robin Warren, who had been quietly observing something strange under his microscope. A spiral-shaped bacterium living in the stomachs of ulcer patients. Not just one or two patients, almost all of them. Warren had been trying to tell colleagues for years. Nobody listened. The stomach, doctors believed, was far too acidic for any bacteria to survive. Life simply could not exist there. But Warren had the evidence right in front of him, and Marshall believed him. Together they began testing. They took samples from patient after patient. The bacteria, which they named Helicobacter pylori, was there every single time. Marshall was convinced. This bacterium was not a coincidence. It was the cause. Marshall and Warren submitted their findings to a gastroenterology conference in 1983. The abstract was rejected. Reviewers ranked it in the bottom 10% of all submissions. When Marshall finally got a chance to present his research, the audience responded with silence, and then mockery. The pharmaceutical industry had built a billion-dollar empire on antacids. Stress was the accepted answer. Bacteria was not just wrong, it was an insult to decades of accepted science. Senior doctors dismissed Marshall as a crank. Journals refused his papers. He was a nobody from Australia telling the world everything they knew was false. But Marshall was not just stubborn. He was calculating. He knew that the only way to silence the critics was proof so undeniable that it could not be ignored. On July 12, 1984, Barry Marshall walked into a laboratory. He took a flask containing a broth of Helicobacter pylori, billions of live bacteria, and he drank it. He told almost no one. He did not have official approval. His wife did not know the full plan. He simply drank it, went home, and waited. Within 3 days, he began to feel nauseous. By day 5, he was vomiting. By day 10, his stomach was inflamed, a condition called gastritis, the precursor to an ulcer. He had given himself the disease, on purpose, with a glass of bacteria. He then took a course of antibiotics, and within 2 weeks he was completely cured. He had not just proved the theory, he had proved the cure. Marshall published his self-experiment. The story broke into mainstream media. The press called him reckless. But scientists could not ignore human evidence. Slowly, very slowly, the medical world began to test his theory at scale. The results confirmed everything he had said. By the 1990s, H. pylori was officially recognized as the primary cause of stomach ulcers. The antacid empire crumbled. A course of cheap antibiotics, costing just a few dollars, could cure what had plagued millions for generations. In 2005, Barry Marshall and Robin Warren were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Marshall stood on stage in Stockholm, the same man the world had laughed at 20 years earlier. Barry Marshall risked his own life for a truth the world refused to believe, and because he did, millions of people no longer suffer from a disease that was once considered permanent. The next time someone tells you that you are wrong, remember the man who drank the bacteria. This is History Loop, the stories they tried to bury. If this moved you, the next video is even darker. Subscribe now so you do not miss it, and drop a comment below. Would you have done what Marshall did?